Hey y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my love, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Just counting down the days until, we have a new little somebody to love on around here.
It's actually very insane. I don't think when I made this recording schedule, I was of good sound mind, to be candid, because we are literally now less than a week out, which is insane.
Wow.
But somebody got to pay the bills, so mama's at work.
Wow.
Here we go.
Yes.
Speaking of somebody paying the bills, probably I want to say at this point, I'm going to crown her the most frequently named subject matter on Holding Court over our last, 3.5+ years of.
Right?
And of course, this is the one and only, drum roll please, Miss Halle Berry has found herself back on this docket. And, y'all have seen the headlines. This is all still around her ex-husband, Olivier Martinez, the son that they share that's 10, their ongoing custody battle. It's a hot damn mess. We're going to get into all of that. So we got Halle at the top of the show. Then we are going to get into, I guess I'll say some I told you so, but in a really positive way. What jurors a few weeks ago, we broke down the Supreme Court of it all. We talked about, how some structural changes to the Supreme Court are not only necessary, but possible. And lo and behold, not 2 days after we released that episode, or at least recorded, current President Joe Biden, who is now lame duck, which we'll get to. At the time, he was still in the race, but now, whatever. Point being, Biden is laying it out. Biden has created a blueprint for what actual tangible Supreme Court reform could look like. And I want to break it down because, of course, we know it's not going to happen in the next 90 days. But I think that Biden actually is doing something smart and strategic here, and it's worth talking about. So we'll get into that. And last but certainly not least, and again, this is why I love that we don't crosstalk between episodes, D. I really got to hear just these two names, child. Don Lemon and Elon Musk, go. So I need to know what Dustin Ross thinks of it all. So we're going to start with Halle Berry. Halle Berry. Okay, so hey now, it's still summertime. Okay, so Halle Berry, y'all, is back in these headlines. I just don't think I can think of a more incompatible co-parenting situation, Dustin.
Ever. I mean, literally, they are always in court.
Always. And both of them, it seems like. You would think at some point one party would just be like, sir, you got it. Ma'am, you got it. Not these two.
Right.
Shit.
This the ceasefire we need right here between Halle and these baby daddies. But
it's also global. We noticed that? Literally. From land, come see. Shit. I will say this to be messy for a minute. I remember when I first started practicing law, Dustin, and some of my first cases in Charlotte were family law cases. And I had an old, brilliant attorney by the name of Bill Deal. And Bill Deal told me that when you see people acting like this here in divorce and dissolution, that was the best sex of life.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't say that. This is an old ass. He's like, because whatever that energy is that draws them to drag this shit out for 10 years, 12 years, 30 million, 50 million, whatever that thing is at play between the two of them, know that at one time that was in the formation of the passion.
Wow. Well, it makes sense because some of the, yes. I can
No, what you gonna say, Dustin?
Some of the best has been the worst.
There we go.
I definitely understand
I think that we may have
makes
to, Ms. Hobbs, put that on the short list for a title suggestion. Sometimes the best is the worst. And
that's right.
That leaves a lot to inquire about. Okay, so facts on this one. A Los Angeles Superior Court judge has denied the ex parte motion that was brought by Halle Berry. Ex parte meaning just in her own, on her own behalf. This week, Halle Berry wanted Olivier. They're both like almost 60, by the way. That just to note. Halle's 57, Olivier is 58. They were married for only 3 years. Throughout the 3 years of a marriage, they had the one son, Maceo, who is now 10. And when I tell you they just finalized this divorce because we covered it on Holding Court last year,
Yes, we did.
damn. I mean, this is crazy. Anyways, last we reported on this, because I remember Dustin said that you were not feeling Halle's desire to have her current boyfriend, Van Hunt, a part of the co-parenting classes. So let's revisit yours. Last time we talked about this, what was on the table was Halle and Olivier had formally divorced. So finally that was legalized and formalized. They were both ordered to attend co-parenting classes. That's how, I'm so sorry, but bad off they are in their own capacity, that they had to have court-mandated co-parenting classes at this stage of the game with a 10-year-old. Halle wanted Van Hunt to be in the classes. Absolutely not. We're going to get back to him because he's a part of the new matter at hand. Anyway, they, again, after filing in 2016, finally legalized divorce just in 2023. We talked about Maceo. Halle claimed that the ex-husband, Olivier, this is the new claim, has decided to postpone the sessions for the co-parenting class. I think they're ordered 10 or something. It's a certain quantity they have to do, Dustin, to satisfy the court order. But Halle's saying, well, we're being held up because my ex, Olivier, wanted a summer break. Olivier said, it's the Olympics, bitch. I'm going. Because he really does live in France. It's the most ghetto rich shit I've ever seen. Okay.
I mean, seriously.
Right? Okay, so he's lollyganting around the south of France and Europe and all this stuff. She's mad because she's ready to go to co-parenting classes. He said, Olivier, that he would resume sessions he said, circle back to my assistant in the team in the fall, in September. And Halle is trying to force him to skip the summer break and let's go to class. She says that they were supposed to have finished 6 sessions by July 14th, which, very well might be the case. This is what her lawyer said, Dustin. It should never be necessary to seek judicial intervention solely to compel a party or to comply with their own agreements. Well, what I would say, he better be glad I'm not on the other side of the case, because it really should not be necessary to seek judicial intervention to raise your children. So one could argue that.
There you go.
So anyway, moving on. Halle says through counsel, I've tried to resolve these issues directly. He's refusing my efforts, yada, 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 yada. His team says Halle Berry knowingly knew that I would be traveling and knew that I would be unable to communicate. This is a strong one. Halle is constantly attempting to harass and strong arm my client, Olivier, by forcing him into submission using her wealth and the legal professionals at her disposal. So let's just stay on that for a second. What do you think about that claim, Dustin, that it obviously is true that Halle Berry has significantly more money than this man and that she is leveraging her financial superiority to make him comply?
Sounds like he's jealous to me. It sounds like some deep-rooted jealousy. I don't think he ever was really her teammate and rooting for her like that. You know what I mean? I think he always kind of wanted to come up based off his connection to her. I think that this is what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? When people have a jealousy of their partner and they are able to use certain elements of their lifestyle against them and they do it, that reads as jealous to me. He was a jealous partner of her, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this gets into something that sadly I have to name often, and that is, I just don't think it works when there is a severe inequity between the positioning and the earnings, particularly when you period of partners.
Unevenly
yoked. Yeah, I think there was a time and place where it did work, and we're no longer living in that time nor that place. And I agree with you because we haven't seen Olivier since Unfaithful.
We have not, and I think that he was always jealous of her.
And that just for those tracking was 2002. So that we're talking about 20 years.
22 years.
Yes, getting back to this support shit again. Just a mess. Now, part of what I don't like is that Halle is very insistent at this point, Dustin, on Van Hunt being in the mix. So Van Hunt,
I don't like that
yeah,
either.
he's y'all know R&B. She certainly has a type. This is
Mm-hmm.
a throwback to the Eric Benet era, right?
Benet days, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of caramel pretty boy look, if you like that.
Mm-hmm.
The R&B deep cuts, we'll say it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? And we'll say Van.
I know some songs, but you know,
And we'll
you
say
know,
Van's
yeah.
cuts are deeper than Eric's, because at least
I mean,
the
deep.
very
Yeah,
deep.
Eric, you
Yeah,
know.
Eric, we know. I ain't gonna hold you. I've been to an Eric
Yeah.
Benet show before, but Van
Yeah.
Hunt, anyway,
Yeah, he's a little more
obscure.
obscure,
That's the
right?
exact
A little more
word. A
obscure.
little more
Yeah.
off the beaten
Mm-hmm.
path.
Yeah, you
But
know.
she found him. You got the money over Olivier, which you've earned, and that's your flex, and you're entitled to that. But this notion, and she makes this in the court documents, Dustin, this argument that like Van Hunt is a big part of me and Maceo's life, and thus he needs to be included in the decision making. And I have an expectation that Olivier, my son's father, respects Van Hunt's decision making as a co-parent of. Now you lost me,
Pump the
Halle.
brakes.
Yeah, now you lost
Yeah.
me. You can be with whoever you want to be with. And I'm gonna tell you, Dustin, not for nothing, this was a part of my calculus as well when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
my decision to be a single mom by choice. Not that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
another woman under that premise couldn't have participation in my daughter's life, but what you're never going to do ever in your whole goddamn oxygen-filled life
Come on.
is dictate to me how a third party of your choosing has substantial decision making or influence. Why we say it at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or influence on the raising of our child. Since
No.
it's
Hell
a
no.
ridiculous proposition, and there's no amount of money in the world, Miss Halle Berry, that can make that applicable.
I could see the conversation being had a different way if her and Van Hunt had been together for 20 years. You know what I mean? And this was a long-standing relationship where he is obviously a part of this child's life. And then, we figure out how that looks. But even then, to me, there needs to be clean distinctions and clean lines, that boundary, exactly what's going on here. And when it comes to the legalities of parenting, co-parenting, child support, all that shit, that is between the parents of that child. It has nothing to
Can you
do
say
with
that
whoever
part
your
one more
partner is
time?
at
Who is it between?
That is between the parents of that child, and it has nothing to do with whoever happens to be in your life at that time. She loves Van Hunt. He probably is a good man to her. We've seen her be
Sure.
happier with him than we've seen her be with anyone else. So there is something to be said for their relationship, but that does not equate to a legal, right to be involved in the business of parenting a child. It's just inappropriate.
It's wholly inappropriate, and for all the reasons you named. Number one, it's very much temporary in nature, and that's not, like you say, to disparage their relationship. It's been 3 years. That's a good run, but we all know, and this is no shade against Halle, but there's been others.
That's why we having this conversation now.
Right. And there will probably be more in the future. And I celebrate that for anybody. But this notion of someone holding a temporary romantic positioning in your life equates to them being a co-parent of any sort is egregious. It's erroneous. And it is not in the best interest of the child, which is, as we know, the controlling rule of law when it comes to all custody cases. The other piece, Halle, is Dustin said it. All things concerning young Maceo has to involve the parents. Absent an adoption process that I don't know about and you don't know about, where Van Hunt legally adopted young Maceo and is a legal third parent, the fuck out of here. If I'm the judge, that's what I'm saying. Like, you sound crazy. He has and again, Halle, despite the money and maybe Olivier is jealous, you chose him. You picked him.
Right.
You picked him.
Right.
So this is, when everybody's on the internet talking about women being accountable, this would be one of those moments of accountability. Miss Berry,
Mm-hmm.
you chose this man. And you chose this man after you already had experienced and were in real time experiencing a contentious co-parenting situation with Gabrielle, the
Mm-hmm.
first, Nyla's father.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Mm-hmm.
now, you're a grown woman in your 40s. You picked another unequally yoked man to have a child with, which
Mm-hmm.
people do for all different reasons. And now you're going to sit here and try to play. We got a play daddy in the situation because
Yeah.
it's giving
It's
play
just
daddy.
not, and it's setting herself up for more just trouble in the future. That's what it looks like. The less hands in the pot, the better, especially when it comes to the matters, the business of being a parent. The less hands in the pot, the better. So I just don't see that ending well, her involving him. He is not a custodial
At
parent of any
all.
sort. He don't have no rights to that child. And he should actually be saying, hey, leave me out of that, baby. I got your back. I'm here to support you in every way. Take me out the papers.
As for
Absolutely.
Halle, flex where you can flex, but also don't overplay your hand when it comes to this Van Hunt situation, ma'am. It doesn't even, from a legal standpoint, Dustin, it doesn't serve her. Like all the credibility she has in the other arguments she's making regarding Olivier,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of
Mm-hmm.
start to get undermined when you start bringing
By
in this
this.
third party. So like you said,
Mm-hmm.
less hands in the kitchen, please. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals before summer turns into fall, thanks to a menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. These are restaurant quality meals, and they feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. You can choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat a well-balanced meal. Make today the day you kickstart a healthy new routine. What are you waiting for? Head to factormeals.com/HoldenCourt50 and use the code HoldenCourt50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month. That's code HoldenCourt50 at factormeals.com/HoldenCourt50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Now let's go to the Supreme Court. So we kind of called this, and we're happy to see it. President Joe Biden now formally calling to action around how to reform the current Supreme Court. So now that he's been, I'm going to say pushed out, now he's in a unique position where he can dictate some things that he can move on. I think that is the reason that we saw the hostages be released just last week, And I think when
Mm-hmm.
somebody is in that level of power, which is unprecedented power with the US president, but even like on your
Mm-hmm.
job, when you know it's your last week,
Mm-hmm.
you can just do some extra
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Don't even get me started. Another
What you
conversation for
do when
another
you was
time.
at Dustin, what you do when you was at Cadillac? What you do?
But my last 9 to 5,
Uh-huh.
when I tell you I never even formally quit, I just kind of stopped taking meetings and kind of
Right.
just soft quit. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And went back. I had great relationships, went back, had conversations, and just kind of, okay, well, this is it for me. I didn't give a damn because I knew it was my last job. So I understand that,
Right. And
sentiment very well.
it's actually a very empowering position in a way because you can do some
Yeah.
things that you wouldn't do otherwise, right?
Mm-mm.
So, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I expect to see more of this as we wrap down
Mm-hmm.
these last days of Joe Biden as the commander in chief. So we got what? We got
Yes.
September, October, November, December. We gonna see,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I think up to like 20 days or so in
In
January.
January.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we gonna see Joe gonna take all the supplies from the supply room on his way out. Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
For
As
sure.
well he should.
If that other motherfucker took boxes of files,
Whoop.
Joe, get you a post-it
Yeah,
or
he gonna
two
get a
on the
poster or
way
two.
out, okay?
Yeah, so he's
Okay.
he bought back some of these hostages, which I was very glad to
Mm-hmm.
see.
Mm-hmm.
And What else has he done? We talked about it last week. The 2.2 billion. He, finally making good on that
Yep.
reneged promise. Black
Yep.
farmers.
Yep.
I believe we're going to see some more action on student loan debt. Whatever the
Mm-hmm.
last thing he can do on it, he's going to do. So I like this
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden. Just go ahead and do everything
This the
else.
one we wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Yep.
do this. So, with that regard, Supreme Court. Now, we know that this is not going to be voted on because there's no time, nor are there the votes available. But he's laying
Mm-hmm.
out, Dustin, in this Washington Post piece, some strong, tangible methodology as to what it could look like. Specifically, he talks about these
Mm-hmm.
term limits of 18 years per justice. He talks
Mm-hmm.
about, and what that will allow is that each sitting president, presuming they get 2 terms, will probably get to appoint 2 justices apiece to the court.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is very
Mm-hmm.
important, right? Because you've got, Joe Biden, he got 1 term, but he only was able to put 1 justice on the court. Thank God he had a
Mm-hmm.
great pick in Ketanji Brown Jackson. But then you've got somebody like Trump
Yes.
who had 3 fucking picks in 1 term. Tragic.
Yep.
So what Biden's reform will do, it won't undo what Trump was able to do, but it will accelerate the level in which somebody like Gorsuch comes off the court. It will accelerate the
Mm-hmm.
pace in which
Mm-hmm.
somebody like Kavanaugh comes off the court. And that will be
Mm-hmm.
good
Mm-hmm.
for America. And same with the Democrats. They shouldn't be there for
Yeah.
life
Mm-hmm.
either. I don't need to look at Elena Kagan for 40 fucking years.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
we can rotate her motherfucking ass off as just as well. So, and not because she's not a
Yep.
great justice, but just because none of y'all, not one of these justices, should be up here more than 20 years.
I agree wholeheartedly. There needs to be some rotating going on. A lifetime appointment is just nonsensical. It doesn't make any
It
sense.
literally makes no
So
sense. So yeah, so that's one of his
yeah.
main reform items. Also, an enforceable ethics code. Right now, probably the most unregulated system of government is the Supreme
Mm-hmm.
Court justices. So I agree. Yeah, like if I can't, you know, have an elongated lunch break when I work for New York public school system, why the
Mm-hmm.
fuck is
Mm-hmm.
Clarence Thomas on a $20 million yacht free of charge,
Mm-hmm.
owned by a civilian that he's going to decide a regulatory case for in 6 months? Like, it is the most
Yeah.
unregulated thing in America, and that should change. So that's one of his
Absolutely.
absolutely. Biden saying, let's enforce some ethics codes around our Supreme Court justices. How about that for a wild idea? And then
Mm-hmm.
he's talking
Mm-hmm.
about an amendment. No one is above the law amendment. This will essentially override this recent immunity decision that came out of the Supreme Court. So listen, here's the thing.
Good stuff. Good
All
stuff.
great stuff. Now, again, we know
Mm-hmm.
that none of it's going to actually be voted on or passed during Biden's tenure. But he's teeing it
Right.
up, right, Dustin? So that
Yep.
whether it's Kamala Harris, hopefully, for the sake of democracy,
Mm-hmm.
or the
Mm-hmm.
next president with some consciousness will say, this is what he
Mm-hmm.
can look like. He's also, from a strategic standpoint, remember when you said on our last episode that we talked about the court, Dustin, you said something really, really brilliant, which was, if they really want to get it popping, I'm paraphrasing, but you said basically, if they
Mm-hmm.
really want to get it popping, put the Supreme Court, expanding the Supreme Court on the
Mm-hmm.
agenda and watch the turnout
Mm-hmm.
and watch the
Mm-hmm.
black people, show up. They'll be motivated by that. I think this is a very light version of that. I think this is
I
Joe
agree.
Biden saying, let me tee up and tease a reform of the Supreme Court in anticipation of y'all going to the polls November 5th. And if you deliver
Mm-hmm.
on 3 fronts, if you give the White House to Kamala Harris, if you give the House of Representatives to the Democrats, if you give the U.S. Senate, keep it with the Democrats, and you give
Mm-hmm.
enough seats, and you elect the right U.S. senators who will finally have the courage and the chutzpah to put down this stupid ass filibuster, it can
Yes.
actually happen. You can,
Yep.
and also, although I'm one for expanding the court because I don't believe that it has to stay at 9, I think this is a more palatable way for us to do
Mm-hmm.
what needs to be done by way of maybe we don't get more than 9 justices, but we're also not
Hmm.
stuck with these particular 9 for the next 40
For
years.
life.
Correct.
Yep.
I see what
Yep.
you're
I
doing,
agree. I
Biden.
think this is a great plan.
Great
Hmm.
plan. Great plan.
They're playing ball now, and people have seen a shift in the messaging from the Democrats. People have seen a shift in the way that they are executing their moves and their plays at this point. So I think this is great. I think this is a signal that we need. This needs to happen, and I think it's great that the conversations are taking place surrounding it. This is good stuff. Good stuff.
So this is actually the advantage, right, of being a
Hmm.
one-term president. And this is, if we go back, this is what it was supposed to be the whole time, Dustin. Joe was always
Hmm.
old as dirt when he first ran to save democracy from Trump. I get it. Who doesn't want to be the president? No, that's not an easy thing to step down from. But since he was forced to, it allows him to move a certain way
Yes.
because you're not having to worry about reelection. You're not having to worry about continuing to have working relationships with cross the aisle and this, that, and the third. Nah, now we could just be like, well, I'm on my way out and I can do it exactly how I want to do it. And we really do like to see, I like to see this. I appreciate I appreciate some one-term energy. That's what I'm gonna call it. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals before summer turns into fall, thanks to a menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. These are restaurant quality meals, and they feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. You can choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat a well-balanced meal. Make today the day you kickstart a healthy new routine. What are you waiting for? Head to factormeals.com/HoldenCourt50 and use the code HoldenCourt50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month. That's code HoldenCourt50 at factormeals.com/HoldenCourt50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about Don Lemon, Elon Musk.
Hmm.
Go, Dustin. I'm not gonna say shit else. Elon Musk, Don Lemon, go.
First of all, when you lay down with pigs, right?
Come on.
You end up in shit, right? That's what that looks like. So I'm not surprised by any of this. Don Lemon had a very public, very robust exit from CNN. So some of us were happy to see him, spearheading a new show and still doing his thing. But when we found out that it was attached to Elon Musk and it was a Twitter exclusive, because we don't call the platform X, we will always and forever refer to it as Twitter. So when we found out that it was a Twitter exclusive, I know that's when my nerves began to tingle a little bit, because I'm like, damn, I don't think that that's going to turn out well, knowing Don Lemon's style, knowing that Elon Musk is clearly, okay, a Republican op, and he has very different politics from Don Lemon. And I knew that eventually that those things would not mesh well together. And sure as shit, here we go.
Here we go. So, of course, Dustin is referring to the fact that Don Lemon has now filed suit. There is now a lawsuit from Don Lemon suing Elon Musk for canceling the Don Lemon talk show that was, scheduled to be on Twitter. Because, we're not calling it nothing but that. Okay. So, in addition to everything you said about the politics being not aligned, which, yes, but see, I've been following the career of Don Lemon a really long time. And let's just say, and even let's even say Elon Musk. I think both of those two are less political ideologues. So I think neither is Don Lemon reliably liberal or Democrat any more than I think Elon Musk is reliably Republican or conservative. I think both of
That's a
those
good
two
point.
are people that, and I don't mean this derogatory, although the term is normally used this way. I think they are power grifters. Both of them.
By
By
definition.
definition,
Yeah.
correct. So I think when you've got power grifters, regardless of who's what, red, blue, left, right, I think that's not even really it. I think it's just an innate, constant conflict between those two types of individuals. And I'm talking about Don and Elon here. Because here's the thing about a good deal, and you know this, Dustin, we do deals all the time. You know, there's deal between us, there's deal with, all of your various platforms, your business partners, we all do deals. A good deal, neither one is wholly satisfied. A good deal is both people should be partially satisfied. I even had this with my OB. Probably telling too much about business, but it's like at some point I am at what we call now advanced maternal age, meaning 35 and up with my pregnancy. So they don't like us older moms, Dustin, to go past our due date, period. They're ready to induce 2 seconds into the motherfucking due date. And I'm like, Doc, relax, And so we picked a date that I moved a little bit, she moved a little bit. So there is a date in which if baby girl has not made her arrival, she will be kicked out of this womb. She just will be. It's called an eviction.
Okay.
Now, I didn't feel good about the eviction date, but my OB does not feel good about the eviction date. And that's how we know it's a good eviction date.
It's a good eviction.
That's exactly right. So with Elon and Don, it's like if these two were able to figure out some terms that were agreeable in part to Elon, agreeable in part to Don, it probably could have proceeded. Neither one of them are of that rationale. So the lawsuit says that Elon Musk participated in fraud, misappropriated the use of Don Lemon's name, negligently represented Don Lemon's likeness, and just in general breach a contract for what was supposed to be the Don Lemon show exclusive to X. Now, I want to say Tucker Carlson still has a show that's exclusive to Twitter. Is that true? Let me look.
I don't know. I stay as far away from his ass as I can.
You watch that every night. I'm just like. So what I do know for sure, Dustin, is Tucker Carlson originally was in a similar deal to Don Lemon. And it's actually very, very interesting being in a former cable newser myself, seeing a lot of my colleagues from cable news, whether it be from CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, land in other places. And they always tend to kind of land at the same places. They always end up on News Nation or Twitter. Those seem to be the primary places, or maybe they get a podcast or something like that. So anyways, I don't think anybody was surprised to see, because also let's name that again, this is how we know Elon Musk is the power grifter that I believe he is. Remember, for 2 seconds, he was supposed to give Donald Trump like $50 million a month.
Yeah, it's $45 million a month, and clearly that was not going to happen.
And 2 weeks later,
he said he's not doing it.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, he reneged on that. Remember when he was originally, he did end up having to be forced legally by court order to buy Twitter. But remember, he was talking all that shit, saying he was going to buy it. He actually tried to pull out of that deal.
I remember very vividly. I remember that he tried to back out of that and he couldn't. So that's why he had to buy the motherfucker.
So that's all it is. So I appreciate Don Lemon for bringing the litigation in the sense that why not? If you can get paid, do so. But there can't be anything in Don Lemon that's actually surprised that that happened the way it did. Absolutely not. This is Elon Musk is the king of, I got an idea, never mind. That's what he does. That's what he does with women. That's what he does. He got like 12 kids. Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why the rumor that is, that I hear a lot is that his transgender daughter, I believe, I don't know if he has a transgender son or daughter, but I think it's one of them he has.
Yeah.
And a daughter.
I think
so. Their relationship is very broken. And I think that he used that as kind of a catalyst to become this extreme, you know what I mean, anti-trans, anti-every goddamn thing that's not, they're saying that that's why. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what I continue to hear a lot.
Yeah.
That was kind of the catalyst into this extremist, position that he has now. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just seems like of another world in the worst possible way to me. Can't see if he's coming or going.
You can't see if he's coming or going because he needs to tan.
Right. And then I saw something.
He's translucent.
He's literally translucent. He looks like what is that character from Back to the Future? It's giving that to me. It's giving that to me.
Wait a minute.
You know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
I think this actor's name is Christopher Lloyd.
That's him right there, 100%. That's him, the scientist nigga from Back to the Future. That is him.
All right, so that's it. Don Lemon, we wish you, justice as we do all the cases that come before what we see here on Holding Court. Absolutely. Elon Musk, we wish you dust because that's what we're paying you. As always, jurors, thank y'all so much for staying with us. It's August. Enjoy the summer, y'all. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy the water. And keep your sunscreen on. Be safe out there for sure in these streets. Keep the faith. And Dustin, what would you like the people to do?
Read their terms and conditions. That's it.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcasts.